Well, actually, it began while I was still in school. I was playing football and then became injured, so I started my career path while still in high school, and that was broadcasting high school football games alongside of my father. And it carried forward, and for over 50 years, I've had a relationship of doing high school sports, specifically Nashua, the Nashua North, and Bishop Girton here in the city. And I'm quite humbled and honored to have been selected for the Hall of Fame, and will be in the Hall of Fame now with my dad, who was inducted in the second class when it first started. I got to work with him for about 10 years before he passed away. And he's the one that instilled in me that if you're going to get and expect things to come to you from the community, you got to be willing to give back to it. But the most memorable of all the games I've done was the first Nashua Bishop Girton football game, which ended in a 12-12 tie. And the way they arranged it would be, it would end in a tie. There would be no overtime or anything. And there were over 8,000 people at Holman Stadium that Thanksgiving morning. And I think that set the tone for the Nashua Girton football games, then the Nashua Girton basketball games and baseball games and hockey games going forward. But that first game between the two, Nashua and Bishop Girton. And then probably next would be the beginning of the Nashua North, Nashua South competitions. Not only during the regular season when they met, but when they had the Turkey Bowl and they would play again. It was just as exciting to be able to do those games in anticipation of Thanksgiving. Yeah, like I said, I started out with my dad, and an interesting story, because we're both named Ed, so as not to confuse people. I had a stage name when I worked with him, and it was Lee Edwards. I just kind of flip-flopped our two names. But obviously him, and then after he passed away, I was very fortunate to have some good color people to assist me in the games. The late Dave Bellavance, another Hall of Fame member, the late John Fagula. Before he went into coaching girls basketball, John was my partner to do high school basketball games. People like Dale Lonroth from the radio station, Frank Tees again. I kind of succeeded Frank as the voice of Nashua High School basketball. So all those people, but more importantly, my family. They understood that Fridays and Saturdays in the fall was football, Tuesdays and Fridays in basketball season, and when we started doing hockey, that was an occasional Wednesday or Saturday. And so without their understanding and support, I don't think I would have been as successful as I was. Always be a good sport about things. Everything happens for a reason. I'm a strong believer in that. And just be proud of your school. And coaching today has changed too. And I think the time and effort that the men and women who are coaching in the high school ranks, they're making a big commitment to today's youth, and I would hope that the student athletes would respect what's being done for them and play hard, play fair, and make a name for yourself that way.
Being inducted into the Hall of Fame is simply an overwhelming experience, something I never expected, but I am eternally grateful for the committee and for everyone involved. But I'm accepting this honor with the knowledge that it's only me. A little piece of this belongs to me. Most of it belongs to the kids and the coaches that I've been lucky enough to work with over the last 40 years. My principal was a guy by the name of Jack Daniels, who I'm hoping will be with us tonight. or this afternoon. And Jack kind of pushed me into coaching at Fairgrounds. It was a wonderful track program at Fairgrounds, and he said, "Why don't you just go in and see if this is something you would like?" And I kept with it. Jack is a wonderful individual and probably one of my best friends. And a few years later, he allowed me to start coaching basketball at Fairgrounds, and that ran for about 25 years. And he's someone who remains really dear to me. So from '79 till the present, I've been coaching track, cross country, and basketball. In 2021, we started to come out of the pandemic. We hadn't had a track for a couple of years because of of COVID. And in 2021, we wanted to get back to some normalcy for both the coaches and the kids. And in spring of that year, we stumbled upon a group of kids that were just so willing to do what we wanted to do, and so willing to go that extra effort. And we won the Division I championship by over 30 points. So it was a total effort, and that really sticks out to me as something that was really exciting and effort to bring back what should have been all along. Trust the people that you surround yourself with. Find good people to help you, because it's a job that can't be done by one person. And once you find good people, trust in them to do the job. I've been so fortunate to have people come back and help. The current volunteers and assistants that we've had throughout the years, they're just wonderful people, and the best thing I did was just get out of their way. I'd be really remiss in not thanking my family, especially my wife. We're going to celebrate 50 years of marriage in August, and we've been together for well over 55 years, and she's put up with a lot of the nonsense. She's one of the smartest people I know, and she's just been a steady influence on me. My 3 boys have put up with a lot of nonsense over the years and have stuck with it. I have 5 grandchildren that are the light of our lives, and we really are very fortunate to have them to continue to keep us young. All the coaches that I coached with over the past few years, too many to mention, but they all know that how much I care about them and appreciate their efforts. The kids, you don't go into coaching for anything other than the kids. And the kids over the years have been just wonderful, and I've been very fortunate. It's been part of what keeps us all young, and I just want to thank everyone that I've had the pleasure of knowing and the pleasure of working with over the last 40 years. It's been a joyful trip, and one that I just can't thank anyone enough.
I grew up in the back of Holman Stadium. I grew up so close, actually, that my mother would look out the back window, and when she saw the lights go off at Holman Stadium, she knew her guy would be home from football practice and put the meal on. I started off when I was 8 years old, and I was selected to play for, at that time, it was Sprague Electric. The team was called the Adams. And so for the next 10 years, I played for many different baseball teams and football teams. Back in the 60s, there was no Nashua North, there was no Girton, there was only Nashua. And if I can remember correctly, Nashua at that time, back in the 60s once again, was the second largest high school east of the Mississippi. The only high school larger, which is the largest high school even today, was Brockton. So there was a lot of competition playing out and trying to get onto a sport. So it was a privilege, to play at Holman Stadium, and something that I spent the better part of my first life. At the end of the football season, the team gets together at Nashua High. At that point, we elect captains for the following year. And I was elected captain for the 1962 year. I was captain, I was able to pick where the game ball would go. And it would always be a senior, obviously. But there's one game ball that I wanted, and that was the Lowell ball. And I made that noted at the beginning of the year. If we didn't win, I wouldn't get a ball. And Lowell had a good team that year. We were expected to lose 18-6, and we won 18-6. So when I went to get the ball from the referee, he wouldn't give it to me. So I asked him to go ask the coach, who was Ray Riddick at the time. And we walked over to Ray at the end of the game, and he looked at me, he says, he's earned it. When you start playing organized sports at 8 years old, you go through many, many coaches. And all of them I can remember too. But there's one person in particular that I can point to, and that's Tony Morandis. Tony was not like Buzz. He didn't yell, scream, swear. He didn't have to. He got what he wanted. He got the best out of his players because he cared. And you cared for him. And when you met him in the hallway, he was the type of guy that would ask how you're doing. And he meant it. And we knew that. He taught through his eyes. And you always wanted to see those eyes look with you accomplished something. And that was important to us. So Tony was very important. What does it mean today to be into the Hall of Fame? It's something that goes way beyond a badge, something I'm very proud of. I just want to thank the committee and Lisa in particular for this honor. I happen to be the third Tebbets to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Uncle Bertie, my brother, and myself. Thanks for remembering an old lineman.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm very honored to be inducted as an athlete. My time at Nashua High, both as a student and as an athlete, was really an important time in my life. Now, I do have to say I have not been involved with Nashua athletics after I left to go to college. My parents moved the summer I graduated. And so I never went back to Nashua except for a few visits. However, my experiences led me to be a part of my kids' community and where I teach, the community that I teach in. And I have been a cross-country and track coach on and off for the past 14 years, and I'm currently coaching track right now. We're in season. I started in 9th grade, and I was also a basketball player, and I played basketball in the winter through 10th grade, through my sophomore year. But then after sophomore year, I decided to dedicate more to track and field. So I did winter track and spring track my junior and senior career, time there. And it led to me pursuing track in college. Okay, I was a jumper, so that included both long jump and triple jump. I was a hurdler, both short and long. I was a sprinter, so I mainly concentrated on the 4x1, the 4x2, and the 4x4. Coach Albert had her bullhorn And to this day, I can hear her and that bullhorn, come on, ladies, run. But the best thing is we worked so hard, and I formed relationships with my teammates, but also, and I think the most important thing is we had a lot of fun. So practices, I look forward to practice every single day, and my teammates, and I have lasting relationships. Two of my really good friends, Kathy McLeod and Kristen Panaggio, were right there with me the whole way, and we used to just have a lot of fun while working hard. My dad in particular, we would talk for hours, and he would give me advice on every aspect of my life, whether it was sports, athletic, college, what I wanted to major in. And so I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without the support and love of my parents. Coach Albert, I mean, how amazing was she? She was so influential in my life. I can't even express how much she did for me. She taught me to work hard. She taught me to set goals for myself. She encouraged me. She helped me with all aspects of deciding to go to college and continue sports in my after high school. She brought me on my college visits, and she was instrumental in, helping me all along the way. And I have so many fond memories of just everything that she did for me, and how much of a wonderful and amazing coach she was. I'm a coach now, so it's coaching now is a little bit different than the 80s, but the thing that I would tell any athlete is that to work hard, and there's a spectrum of athletes. There are some that just want to be a part of something. They just want to be on the team. There are some that will go on and maybe pursue athletics after high school. But I think for all of them, there's some, while it might be different, I think work hard, set goals, and most importantly, if you can do that while still having fun, your teammates, you can form relationships that I think are going to last you maybe your whole life, or set this foundation for relationships going forward. I think it's really important to know your athletes, and every athlete is different. It's just like in teaching, and if you're not a teacher, but one size doesn't fit all. So, and you got to know the kid that's out there that wants to maybe be varsity and a D1 athlete to a kid that just wants to be a part of something. And it will be different in how you coach those athletes. A few acknowledges, first I want to say that track was very important to me, both in high school and in college. And I'm so thankful that I was able to do it. I have to thank my brother Langley. He's the one that sort of forced me to go out and track in ninth grade. And of course, I'm thankful for him. And he ran track at Nashua High and in college, and even after he did masters and things like that. I'd like to thank my husband and my family. They've been supportive all the way. And just all the Nashua athletes out there that ran track with me back in the day. And Coach Albert, of course, who is no longer here, but I want to give a shout out to her. You're amazing, and I wouldn't be to where I was without you.
My name is Philip Greenwood. I ran track, cross-country track, and winter track, spring, and from '89 to '93. Yeah, this is great. One of the pinnacles, I guess, of my career, obviously, it was, I was one of the top 5 on WMUR. They rated the top 5 cross-country people, and I think I was 4th. Which, great, right? Being inducted into the Hall of Fame must be great. I didn't even know they had a Hall of Fame. I'm like, This is cool. Yeah. This is awesome. Thank you. I mean, winning New England's, I did it in cross country and in spring track for the 2-mile. But I guess breaking the record at Derryfield Park, I mean, me and my coach were, I mean, it was a huge picture in the paper of us hugging, and that was pretty memorable for me, for sure. But my coach, Artie Cobbs, he's being inducted too at the same time, which is really awesome for me to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with him, because we meant so much to each other. So that's really cool. I mean, I just got a text message from an old cross-country guy that I ran against in Concord. His name was Chris Byers. You know, we still keep in touch. I mean, it's great stuff like that, you know? You keep in touch with these people, even though they were your competitors, you still have like a friendship, and that was always awesome. I got so many people to tell. I mean, Ann Sipka, I mean, Todd, Lionel, Nate Burns, Artie. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's just crazy. Like Chris Byers, everybody has pushed me to be the person I am today. I mean, it's cool. It's great. Been a good ride.
When I found out that I was getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, I was shocked. It was a little surreal, to be honest with you. I played basketball for 4 years, and I played softball for 4 years. I played soccer for a couple years, and I did it just because I loved it. You know, it wasn't. It was just part of who I was. So when I found out, it was pretty amazing. And then I found out that the 1987 team was being inducted, and truly, they were the ones that drove me to where I was as an athlete. They were, when I was a child, you know, I did my homework. I was a good girl, and on Friday nights we were able to go to the basketball team, and that was the 87 team. So I feel so honored that I'm being inducted at the same time they are, because they really drove, you know, they were the pathway to women's basketball at that time. You know, we won 3 out of 4 championships for the women's basketball team. We made it to the finals almost every year for softball. But truly, I would say the memories came from, we went out to Howard Johnson's. You probably don't know this was so long ago, but that was our staple place. After every game, we'd go to Howard Johnson's, the families, you know, the fans, the spaghetti dinners. It was really the camaraderie and what Coach Fagula had built around our program. Those are the biggest memories. All those little, and they were big now when you look at it, you know, those times that you spent with your teammates and coaches and the fans. As far as a basketball true memory, maybe it was maybe my sophomore year. We were dominant as a freshman, but we didn't play that much. We had a role as like the fifth player. But as sophomores, we were very young, and we went up against a really talented Londonderry team, and no one thought that we could do it because we were always so junior and senior dominant. So that might be my favorite of all time championship, because no one thought that we could do it. But all the memories are all my teammates and just all those great spaghetti dinners. And another thing about Nashua too is that it was more of a like a tradition. Like everybody was involved. Like our bus driver came to all the games. We had a manager, Cedric, that took stats for us, and it was all our teachers, from my elementary school teachers, junior high teachers, to even high school. It was like more of a culture and a family that involved more than just your actual team. The most influential people for me would definitely be my family. From my parents to my sisters, my brother-in-law, they just really supported me in everything. Probably my biggest fan was my grandfather. He just went to everything. He was my biggest cheerleader. But again, it's my church family and my teachers and my coaches. Coach Fagula was amazing. He was always there for you in many ways. But again, it took a village, and that's what really brought me to where I am. And all the 87 team, and all the former basketball players, and even the younger players, they came to watch you, and they really drove that, you wanted to perform for them and, be a good influence for them. So again, it was like just this awesome Purple Pride culture that we had built, and they all really had an impact on where I am today. I would say play with your heart. To really rely on not just your personal self and your instincts, but really to rely on your teammates and all that are supporting you. You might have that one person, maybe you have a village helping you as well, as I did, but really to know that there's someone always there for you and that can help you and are right by your side. And as I tell my 3 boys all the time, if you're not having fun, then you need to find something else to do. And just really, to really play hard, do your best, and really have fun and giggle while you're doing it.
There are people that remember playing. There are people that remember my brother and myself, and that it added value to the community. I hope to be a larger part of the football team going forward. I hope to be a larger part of Nashua High School South athletics. It's so weird to say Nashua High School South. I'm so old that back when I had hair, it was just Nashua High School. I'm still working on this. I played with Coach Hardy back when you could still kind of beat and abuse the kids a little bit more than you can these days. We went through some fun stuff. And I tell you, I learned how to be part of a team. We were playing in the state championship game against Londonderry, and it was snowing and terrible and this disgusting mud bowl of a game. And I was noted for being a defensive player. I was particularly good back in the day. And we happened to be in a 4th and goal situation on offense, and Coach Hardy came into the huddle, and he's talking about running counter crisscross or some pitch sweep to get to the end of to get into the end zone when we were 4th and goal from this far out at 2 minutes to go in the game or something like that. And it was a 0-0 game. It was just disgusting weather, and I got so mad. I literally I pushed Coach Hardy out. I grab Aaron Gorekis by the face mask and I say, "You're following me." Mike Gallagher's our center. I don't even know what the hell the play call was. Coach Hardy was like, yeah, okay. He snaps the ball. I picked the kid up and just buried him. Just absolutely me and Gallagher hit him, and he went flying. Gorekis goes right past me. We go into the mud, and I come up doing this platoon thing, which is the photograph that's everywhere. Everywhere back in '98, 25 years ago. God, I'm old. Anyway, so that was really one of the fun things. It was that, it was almost like a TV show where you're like, the star player tells the coach to get out of the huddle, and I'm taking this on the back. And it was the funniest thing. That was great. The other one that is an indelible moment for me is really related to practice. We were in 2-a-days before our state championship season in '97. And Hardy's given us the business, and he was all about us being part of a team in a tremendous aspect. And he was saying, you've got to be able to carry the people with you. He's like, you gotta count on them. You gotta, and he says, that's it, carry them. Everybody carry somebody. Pick up a person next to you. You're running. And we're literally piggybacking running. And the head coach in Nashua North right now, Chad Zabolis, his nickname in high school was Buddha. He was a rather big fella. And when Coach Hardy says you got to carry somebody, I just drop my arms and crow Buddha as loud as I possibly can, because I know there's nobody else on the team that's going to be able to carry him. He was a big dude back in the day. So I grabbed Chad, threw him on my back, and we ran sprints. And that was a fun thing. It's indelible because it described leadership to me at a very young age, where you understand what you're doing is for a team. Not only are you doing the item to achieve the goal, am doing it to help the other person out. It's not fair to the next person to have to carry me or carry Buddha or carry one of the other big guys that's on there. If you're going to be a leader, you need to be the first one out the door. You need to be the first guy off the bus. You need to make sure that the people on your team understand that there's nothing you're not willing to do without them. Learn to be part of a team. Learn to be part of a team in the classroom. Learn to be part of a team on the field. Learn to be part of a team when you're outside, when you're hanging out with your friends. Learn it, learn it, learn it. It's a skill that will add value to every single situation you can possibly be. In. It doesn't make a difference whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're with your family, what you do in your recreational activities. If you can be a good team member, you're going to be a good human being. I didn't win a state championship. We won a state championship. I didn't catch a ball. I didn't throw a ball. I didn't run with a ball anywhere. All I did was help, and I did my part on the team. That was great. So, all of you guys that played in the '97 team, thank you very much. Thank you for helping bring attention to Nashua High School. I know there were a few college scholarships that got pulled out of this, which was an absolute great thing. I was the first one since 1985. Which was pretty cool, and I'm hoping to believe that we got some additional attention going on in this area. So my parents, all the coaching staff, all my Little League coaches, all the fans that made some funny stuff. I mean, even my man Tom King that used to just keep me laughing after every game. I got a lot of thank you to say to everybody that's out here, and to my friends that keep making fun of me right now. I did peak in high school.
I ran track and field for almost my whole time at Nashua High at the time. I graduated in 2003. I participated in winter and spring track. Participated in cross country, not really, mostly caused trouble for some of the other coaches and teammates on the team. Coach Howard obviously was there constant through my whole career here at Nashua High, and he was father figure, stepped in as a father figure for me after my dad passed away, and it was a tough time in my life, and I was isolated. I didn't know what was going on. I was coping, and all the coaching staff, some of the teammates and some of my friends showed up to the services, and to me there it hit me that it's more than just for sports. They were there, they supported me, and they got me through a really tough time, and that was probably the biggest thing that stuck with me. On top of everything else that we did, that to me was the biggest thing, and that stayed with me for my whole life. The sports are fun, winning's fun, but it's really about the relationships that you make with everybody. It's going to extend past your time at Nashua High. It's going to go all the way through the rest of your life. I still talk to people that were on the team. We still reminisce about the fun times we had running cross country when I didn't actually participate and just went out into the woods and was a jerk. It's really about the relationships that you make, and build those friendships, build those strong relationships, because they're gonna be there once the sports are all over.
Coaching Mike for the 3 years he was with me, and just watching him, 4 years in football, 3 years in wrestling. He was a fantastic athlete with us, so it means a lot. It means a lot for the hard work that he put in, a lot for the hard work that his teammates put in, and happy to be here to speak on his behalf. It says a lot about Mike, actually. I remember when he was coming up through the middle schools, hearing a lot about him coming. He'd been a middle school New England champion. And I was nervous because I was, he was going to be a freshman, my second year coaching here. And in my head a little bit, I was thinking, here, I'm going to have this kid come up who's going to have a pretty big head, pretty big ego. I was thinking, how am I going to, work with that? And Mike is anything but that. He's just a quiet, gentle guy who was a phenomenal wrestler. So he came into the room and just his presence was known from his actions. Instead of just being like loud about how good he just was that good. We had a young team. We were just coming out of the split. So the wrestling program, that first year of split, it was tough. We only had one returning senior from the squad the year before, and just trying to find our legs. And Mike came in as a freshman showing great leadership, but just by how hard he worked and how important it was for him to just be a good teammate. I'm here talking in his stead because Mike would never be the one to pat himself on the back or, be the one who was leading the parade, but definitely be a huge supporter for the team. Obviously, winning the first D1 championship, individual championship for South as a new school, that was fantastic. That was in his sophomore year. So that was the first D1 champion that I've been able to coach. So that was really exciting. I beat one of the ride-out kids from Londonderry who was a fantastic wrestler. And, Mike caught him by surprise. And that was a great win. Obviously, him going to New England, becoming a New England New England champion, his senior year, being an All-American his senior year. So those achievement accolades were amazing. But honestly, what I remember Mike for most, like I was saying before, was just being that, quiet leader who just led by example. Actually, one of my most memorable experiences, a football experience. Mike was also a great defensive end for us. He started on that state championship team we had in 2008, I believe. He was an all-state football player that year. But I remember during that season, we'd had a pretty tough game against West up in Manchester. And right before the end of the first half, we were on defense. Game was close. Mike went in, had a strip sack, or ended up with the football somehow, runs all the way down the end of the field, scores a touchdown. We're going crazy, but there was a penalty on the play. And it was sort of kind of a not a call that I would have made if I was a ref. It didn't go for us. But I just remember Mike in the aftermath. I mean, most kids would be out of their mind, upset. And, Mike just went back to the next play. He just was always kind of that calm, cool kid. You just moved on to the next thing, competed at a high level the next time, never took away from how hard he worked. Another thing I remember about Mike is just his fluidity as a wrestler was amazing. It was something that, it's pretty generational. I remember him wrestling a Concord kid. This was his junior year. We were at Lowell Invitationals, which is a really tough tournament, sort of over the holiday break. And, all the best wrestlers in New England are at this event. It's one of the first tough tests that a kid will kind of go through. And I remember him wrestling a Concord kid who was ranked pretty close to him in the state. And Mike was in control of the match, and they were kind of in an awkward position. And I remember Mike I could see him thinking about what he was going to do next. And he just made this sort of he stepped over the kid and just got the kid into a bad position and pinned the kid right away. Just by being able to understand the situation he was in. It was kind of unorthodox, but he knew how to manipulate it to win the match, just by movement and against a very, quality wrestler. And I remember the Concord coach looking at me, just kind of threw his hands up, seriously, and I was like, yep, absolutely. It's not something that I certainly didn't teach him to move. It came out of just his ability to be just a fantastic clinician in the way that he wrestled, which was another really impressive thing about Mike. I just think the way that Mike carried himself, just the a lead by example kind of person, and he didn't. It's okay to toot your horn, and somebody like Mike had every right to do that. He was just, like I said, probably generational ability in wrestling, but he never, he was an unassuming guy, and he had a quiet confidence about him. There were times where I could tell that he was getting angry in Mike's way, particularly if he ever got a nosebleed. Like I always knew it was like go time when he got a nosebleed because he hated that, and he would like destroy kids if he ever got a nosebleed. But like he never like, it wasn't like a hard on his sleeve kind of guy. He was calm and cool, and people really responded to that. Like I know it just helped. He was such a great teammate and a leader because of that. He was a captain for us his sophomore year, and I was a little nervous about him being such a young captain. And I think he ended up, by the end of the season, he was the only captain remaining because my other upperclassmen captains had gotten into this side of the next thing and just weren't showing the right leadership qualities. And Mike was just steady, and no one questioned that. You know, he was an easy pick to be a captain his sophomore year, remained a captain for his next 3 years, and just always led with that quiet confidence, but also like, you know, lunch pail kind of kid too. Did the hard work, you know, never tried to get out of anything, just put his nose to the grindstone and worked hard, and with that ability. So I think those two things together made him the athlete he is, and you know, makes him the person he is today. You know, he's just a great person, and great example for people to follow. I mean, I know Mike's family did a lot for him. His brother George spent time helping me out and coaching the team, spending time with Mike. I know it lent a lot to George to be there with Mike. I know he was, you know, his brother George and Paul were both wrestlers here in Nashua. So I know they probably tutored him a lot when he was younger by wrestling with him, made him a great wrestler. His folks were always super supportive too. So I know, you know, family's a big thing, and I know he'd love to thank his family. I'm sure his teammates, he would love to thank them too. You know, I had a good wrestling room with Mike there. I love that team. You know, but I know that he was a team guy, and I know his team loved watching him succeed, and he enjoyed watching them succeed well, like, you know, doing it together. So I'm sure he would thank his teammates. And I thank Mike for being able to, I was along for the ride kind of, like I knew the best way I could coach Mike was just make him work hard to have the, you know, the best motor he could have to like outlast any other kid. But technique-wise, like he got that from his brother's year before I got there. So I thank him for, you know, having me along for the ride. It was a lot of fun coaching him in football, but you know, in wrestling, it was fantastic just to be able to be in his corner, watch him succeed. So I thank him for that.
Being number one in the United States, it's amazing. I mean, back in the day when we were playing, we were just playing basketball. Like we didn't really realize the impact that we had on the community. But then afterwards, we started to receive letters from people. And I have a few letters I'm actually going to bring to the Hall of Fame where it was fun going through them.
I think that at that time, we were really just kids in so many ways. And all of this was kind of happening outside of the fact that we were playing basketball. And the face of women's basketball, who knew, would change at that place in time.
As I've gotten older, I think less about the basketball and more about just the relationships and the fun that we had, like just the memories. I was trying to remember all like those core memories you have of like singing on the bus. Michelle or Celeste would always bring the little boom box. Yeah. And it was like, she loved to play Chicago on the bus, and she would sing at the top of her lungs. And like, there's so many memories, and that's what sticks out to me, less about being number one, but more about just being so close. I think there was a lot of pride. I think we carried ourselves with pride because we know we worked so hard, and Coach Fagula just wanted what was best for us. And I think, so there was a lot of pride when we were named number one, at least from my standpoint.
Off the court, though, we had fun. I mean, the bus rides, we would be singing. We'd go to places and hotels when we travel, and Becky be playing the piano, and Celeste would be playing the piano, and we'd all be around her singing songs. And I mean, like we had a strong bond, which was a lot of fun.
We genuinely liked each other, you know. So it was like, it was just like Becky said, and it was simple. Like we had 3 plays, right? I mean, I don't think we had 3 plays, like. And, you know, again, both my kids played sports, and I and I'm like, I think can still remember the 3 plays we had, because that's all we had. We had a couple if they played zone defense, and one if there was man to man, and we had variations, of course, of it, but we would play off each other's strengths and who was having a stronger day versus not. And but I do think like we genuinely liked one another and respected Coach Fagula and Coach Rolf, and the folks who were guiding us and teaching us. And I think that was it. It was simple but profound.
Yeah, there was so much discipline at the same time. Like there was so much, like we just had an undertone of discipline, of just boxing out every time and doing the basics really, really well. And it's so funny because my son plays basketball at the high school level, and I'm like, box out. It's the basic stuff is just not reiterated enough these days. And I felt like we did that really well. To get to your point, it was simple.
Yeah.
But
all of our practices were that's all we did was practice
all we did.
fundamentals.
Yep.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yep.
And
And
I went to college,
I often think about, like, if I wrote a book, it would be like, and over my careers or whatever, I'm known as the person who is simple and does the basics like really well and achieves like phenomenal results with my teams through that. Like it just is and I think I got that, as Joy said, like that discipline of just, okay, you do the basics really well and beautiful things can happen.
yeah.
It's so true. I mean, you used to do the simplest drills, fundamentals, every single practice. And to give you girls kudos, you didn't complain, and you took pride in doing your drills. And when you do your slides, you were mad at yourself if you didn't have as many as you normally have, or when you did your mic and drill. You didn't complain. You didn't complain, and you did what was asked of you, and that was huge. And that doesn't always happen now. I've been doing this for a long time, and it's very different. Yeah. So I definitely have to give you guys kudos in the fact that you all got along. No one person was more important than another person, and you were willing to do the little things to be successful.
There are many influential people in my life, but there are 3 people who had the greatest impact on my success in basketball and earning a Division I college basketball scholarship. Those 3 people are Andrew Dutch DeShanes, Coach Bill Vermette, and Coach John Fagula. I'll discuss briefly how each of them impacted my life. Dutch DeShanes was our athletic director at Nashua Catholic Junior High. I started playing organized basketball for the first time in 7th grade. I did not know the positions or rules of the game, and I was uncoordinated. I wanted to quit halfway through my season, and I was able, as I was being made fun of my inadequacies. Mr. DeShanes had the discernment to identify what was going on and to recognize my potential when I did not believe that I had any talent for basketball. He asked me to stay on the team when I told him I wanted to quit. He told me that if I stayed on the team, he would not allow the pranks on me to continue, and that he would cheer me on and be my biggest fan. I trusted him, and he fulfilled his promise. I heard him cheering for me, and he did not allow anyone to pick on me anymore. At the end of my season, I was determined to practice to strive to become a good player. I wanted to prove to everyone that they were wrong, and I wanted to develop the talent that Dutch DeShanes identified in me. I brought this determination to Mount St. Mary's High School, where Coach Bill Vermette gave me the opportunity to play varsity girls basketball as a high school freshman. My understanding of the game grew under his great coaching and through his belief in my ability to play at that level. He patiently and diligently developed our team, and he helped me to develop my basketball skills. He was very patient and knowledgeable. In particular, he instilled in me a discipline for the game and a solid work ethic. Finally, Coach John Fagula was instrumental in developing me as an effective team player and co-captain of our national championship team, as an individual player, to earn a Division I college basketball scholarship. He sacrificed so much of his own personal time to coach AAU summer basketball teams that my teammates and I played on to compete nationally. He took us to the Blue Star and Kathy Rush competitive summer basketball camps, as well as serving as a conduit between us and the college coaches who were recruiting us for scholarships to play college basketball. He truly was a basketball mastermind who had offers to coach college basketball. However, he chose to follow his calling to teach junior high school students and develop the talent of young athletes and teams in high school. I'm thankful that he made that decision. I'm truly indebted to these 3 people in particular for shaping my character, my basketball career, and guiding me to achieve my academic and athletic goals?
Well, obviously my family. Growing up, they supported me through my playing career. And then once I continued coaching, I coached for another, like, I think it was 35 years. And they would always come and support me at my games. So they were very important, but also Coach Pagula. I played for him the first year he started coaching girls. I don't know if you know that. And so I played for him in my sophomore year and all through high school. And it was an adjustment period for the girls, obviously, and for him. It's very different to yell at girls than it is to be yelling at boys. So there was a big, big adjustment that we all had to go through. So then I graduated, I went to college, and then when I came back, I was lucky enough to spend 7 years, I think it was, with him along his side, coaching and learning. And once I moved on and I continued to coach, I can't tell you how many times I would hear his words coming out of my mouth. We'd be saying the same exact words verbatim. So I really do appreciate what he did for me as a player and as a coach.
For current athletes, and I would say keep the balance, remember balance, that there's more to life than just the sport itself, and to treasure what your coaches say. They do work extra all the time behind the scenes to better you as a human being and as an athlete. So to really soak the time in and enjoy it, as well as wanting to always be better, try to always be better.
Let defeat be a driving force in setting goals for yourself and your team, then work hard to achieve the goals. Finally, experience and savor the moment. It is important to set goals to achieve, but enjoy the progress towards those goals by living in the present. Enjoy the day-to-day fun of friendships, traveling, and cultural experiences you are afforded by being a member of a team and taking part in competition. The memories will be with you for a lifetime.
And then for coaches, I think for me, watching the boys have different coaches, I feel like right now it's like you're so lucky if you get a good coach who's a good person and sees your son or daughter as a whole person, not just a person who's going to put points on the board. It's surprising to me that not all coaches have that, see children and young adults through that lens, but I've had that experience. And so I would say for coaches, you're really shaping this person. And even if they're not your star player, treat them with respect and remember that you are a person that they look up to,